for every chocolate lover, rich, warm, and pure joy. Let's get started by cracking 3 eggs into a bowl. Add 3/4 cup of sugar, then 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract to remove the eggy smell. Now, beat for 5 minutes until the batter becomes pale and airy. This step makes the cake base soft and light, like clouds forming in the sky. Add 1/2 cup of milk and 1/3 cup of oil to keep the cake moist and tender. Beat for a few more seconds until the batter feels smooth and well combined. Add 1 2/3 cups of flour, 1/3 cup of cocoa powder, and 1½ teaspoons of baking powder. Now, sift the dry ingredients over the batter in 3 additions. Do it slowly, like sprinkling snow over a quiet hill. After each addition, gently whisk it in until the flour disappears into the mixture. Don't rush this step. The batter needs to stay airy and light. Avoid using an electric mixer here. It can knock out all the tiny bubbles we just created. With each fold, the batter becomes smoother, like silk coming together. Take your time and enjoy the process. This is where the texture of your cake is born. Finally, scrape the bottom with a spatula. Hidden flour can ruin the mix. Pour the batter into a 22-centimeter pan and place it in the oven. Bake at 340 degrees Fahrenheit, 170 degrees Celsius, for about 40 minutes. Let's make a chocolate syrup to keep the cake moist and rich. First, place a pan over medium heat. Add 2/3 cup of water to the pan, 1/2 cup of sugar, and stir gently. Let it come to a boil until the sugar fully dissolves. Add 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Whisk quickly until it blends in completely. Remove it from the heat and pass it through a sieve, like pouring night through a fine net until only the smooth darkness remains. Cover the surface and set it aside to cool down. Let's head back to the chocolate cake. After baking, let it cool completely before taking it out of the pan. If you've got any questions while baking, drop them in the comments. And if this recipe brightened your day, you know what to do. Slice off a thin layer from the top of the cake and set it aside. This helps the syrup soak in better, making the cake extra moist and full of flavor. Now, brush the cake generously with the chocolate syrup. Make sure every spot gets covered so it soaks in deeply. By the end, the sponge should turn a deep, almost black color. And don't forget the edges. They need that syrup love too. Wrap an acetate strip around the cake and secure it with a ring. This keeps the sides neat and ready for the mousse. Set the cake aside. Next, we'll make the chocolate mousse. Start by pouring 1/3 cup of water into a small bowl. Sprinkle 1½ tablespoons of gelatin evenly over the surface. Give it a good stir until no dry spots remain. Set it aside for a few minutes to let the gelatin bloom. In a saucepan, mix together 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch until well combined. Let the powders mix together, releasing that first hint of chocolate aroma, a small preview of what's to come. Add 1½ cups of milk to the saucepan. Mix well so the cocoa and starch dissolve completely. Keep whisking until the mixture turns smooth and lump-free. Now, place the saucepan over low heat and stir continuously, letting the mixture slowly come together. Stir gently and wait until it thickens just a little, enough to coat the back of a spoon. It's like a bond growing stronger. The more it blends, the more connected it becomes. The moment it reaches this perfect stage, add the bloom gelatin and watch it melt right in. You can replace the gelatin with 1 teaspoon of agar-agar powder for the same result. Keep stirring until the gelatin dissolves completely into the mousse mixture. At this stage, add 1½ cups of cream to the mixture. Whisk it in gently until the cream blends smoothly with the chocolate base. Keep mixing until you have a silky unified mousse mixture. Once the cream has fully blended in, take it off the heat. Immediately add 1 cup of milk chocolate and let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes, allowing the heat of the mousse to melt the chocolate. Now whisk quickly until the chocolate melts completely and blends into a smooth, glossy mousse. Pour the mousse mixture through a fine sieve to catch any tiny bits. This step gives the mousse a flawless and melt-in-your-mouth texture. If this recipe is inspiring you, a little thumbs up would mean a lot. And if you try it out, I'd love to hear how it turned out for you. Cover the surface with plastic wrap, making sure it touches the mousse to prevent a skin from forming. Leave it at room temperature for about 30 minutes so it cools down and thickens slightly. Now the mousse is ready, give it a quick stir to bring it back to life. Let's move on to the next step. Pour a small amount of mousse, about 2 ladles, then gently spread the mousse to reach the edges of the pan. This prevents the remaining mousse from leaking between the cake and the mousse layer. Now place the pan in the freezer for 10 minutes to let the mousse set. Slowly pour the remaining mousse, letting it spread on its own, and wrap the cake completely. Just take your time and allow it to settle smoothly without any effort. Place it in the freezer for 3 hours until it sets completely. After that, we'll move on to preparing the final layer. First, mix 2 tablespoons of water with 1 teaspoon of gelatin and set it aside to bloom. Keep in mind, this glaze can also be used to cover other cakes. Just double or triple the ingredients. In a pan, add 1/3 cup of sugar and 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, then mix until combined. Now, add 1/2 cup of milk, stir until the mixture turns into a smooth, watery blend. Make sure to wait for the mousse to set before starting the glaze. This timing helps the glaze stay in place and shine beautifully. Finally, add 1 tablespoon of oil, place the pan over low heat, and keep stirring as it comes to a gentle boil. Once it starts boiling, set a timer for 2 minutes, stirring constantly until it thickens slightly. Add the bloom gelatin and stir until it melts seamlessly into the mixture. Let the gentle heat finish its work, then remove the pan from the stove. Finally, pass the glaze through a fine sieve to make it perfectly smooth and glossy. Set the glaze aside to cool completely, but make sure it doesn't start to set. Before performing the final step, give the cooled glaze a good stir to make it perfectly smooth again. Take a moment here. Everything is ready for the grand finish. Gently pour the glaze over the mousse, letting it flow and cover the surface on its own. Watch how it settles into a shiny mirror finish. Then place it in the freezer for 10 minutes to set. After that, remove the ring and peel away the acetate strip carefully. Run your finger gently along the edges of the mousse. The warmth of your hand will smooth out any imperfections. Now cut the mousse cake into 8 slices for serving. To make clean cuts, heat the knife slightly before slicing. And remember to wipe the knife after each cut to keep the edges perfect. Admire the glossy glaze and smooth mousse, a dessert worth sharing. If you enjoyed this recipe, leave a comment and share it with a chocolate lover. Until next time, keep baking sweet memories.